All right, so first time working on at least the first two of the 10 tractors I recently got. So what you're looking at is the 1967 Super 12. I haven't did anything with it yet other than pressure washing it. The SS14, or Suburban 15 rather, is right out here. I did some work to it already. I have the carburetor soaking. The wiring is no good, and it doesn't have basically any compression. I had a whole video going on this already, but it didn't really work out because it turns out the engine needs more work than I thought. So that's why I was showing it like this, but I'm going to work on that Super 12 first, and then I'm going to get back to this, and you'll see this more towards the end of the video. But back to the Super 12. I'm going to get this door back down because it's kind of windy out there and I don't like all the dirt blowing in here, so I keep that down for now. Anyway, one thing I do know though is the wiring or the starter generator doesn't work because I already hooked the battery to it and it made some weird hissing sounds, so something isn't going on quite right there. There's no gas tank, but I do have a carburetor right over here actually that is cleaned and ready to go, so that's cool. I also have the intake upstairs that's ready to go for this. So I think my next thing for me to do is to pull this battery tray so I can get to the wiring and the starter generator easier. I'm going to test the starter generator, and I'm guessing that that's the problem. Otherwise, I'm just going to take wiring that I have off of another one and switch it out and just make the key switch work. I'm going to get that battery tray out and I will come back. All right, as you see, I got a bunch of stuff done. I got the battery tray out. It's sitting right there. I already ran my booster dead by turning it over. I had to tighten the belt because it was slipping. It still kind of does, so I'll end up getting a new starter generator belt. Like I was mentioning before, that pulley's on backwards and the clutch pedal isn't hooked up, so once I do get it running, it won't drive. But I got my gas tank rigged up. I just bypassed the choke cable and just did this, so then that way I have a choke. But yeah, let me know here what you think about this. So you get your cable and you come on. So as you heard by that, it runs. It runs good for a little bit, and then it runs kind of rough, and then it runs good, and then it runs rough. Which, the fact that it runs at all, I'm impressed with, because this has been sitting at least since 2016, so like 7 years, I guess. So for it to sit that long without actually running and the carburetor not to be totally gummed up is pretty cool. So my next step, I think, is to I'm going to check the oil again after running it. And I actually don't know what my next step is, actually. Probably do something with the wiring. And then, wow, that oil is disgusting. So probably change the oil since that looks terrible. So I always change the oil pretty much immediately, because otherwise you blow it up because the oil is old. I just don't change it before running it because I'd like to know if the engine's actually any good before hearing it run. But you heard it run just like I did, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this wiring out, because the key switch, if you recognize this key, that is for like a Chinese generator type key. So that isn't correct for this. It doesn't even work either. You turn it over with that and it makes some weird goofy sounds, and there's some smoke coming from back here when I turned the key on. So definitely needs a rewire. I don't know if I'm gonna wire everything up to work or just make it so that it starts it and shuts it off. I didn't even have to do anything to make it spark or anything. I guess I had to unhook the wire down there for the kill wire, I guess. But otherwise, I'm gonna get some of this wiring stuff done, maybe put a real choke cable on it that works, and I will come back and show you what I did. Alright, so I just thought I'd come back and show you some good news that I got. All good news, which is really cool. So first thing I did is I got looking at that key switch, and I realized that it was just the key switch that was the problem. So I'm like, well, why change the whole wiring out when you don't have to? So I went up in my hoard of parts, and I found an original key switch off of one of these that I took the original engine out, or it was missing the engine, and long story short, repowered it basically. So I have actually quite a few of them original key switches, so I put one of them in here, and yeah, it works perfectly fine. That's all the problem was. Not sure if this kill wire works yet because I forgot to hook that up, but I just turned it over with that and it does still work, so that's cool. And the other good news is that I got that pulley off, which is awesome. I just soaked it in some PB Blaster and then waited about 10 minutes and it slid right off. I just sprayed it just in the end, and you can see how far it actually penetrated. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Something that really surprised me is I couldn't get the set screws out because they're stripped out. So I just took my puller and I just started pulling it, and it came off. So I have this giant one because I stripped out all the smaller ones. So I just went and bought the biggest one I could find. I started with just a wrench going at it by hand, and then I decided to put the big impact on it since it was coming off no problem to make it easier on me. So got that off. This belt is in a quite terrible shape, but that's not a big deal to replace. I couldn't find in my parts pile the rod for here, which kind of makes sense because I've bought so many of these with no clutches at all in them. So I'll either have to make one or just grab it off another one for now. So, original paint gas tank, original paint side cover. So it'll have the right gas tank that it's supposed to have and the right side cover. The only thing is that these are faded to more of a greenish color, and then that dash is more of a bluish color, as you see there. But maybe this will clean up different, or maybe the dash will clean up different once as I actually do clean it up. But if anything, it's close enough that it'll work, and I just think that's really cool that I have a matching set. I took the cap off that gas tank, and it's really nice and clean in there. It looks, there's not a spot of rust anywhere, so can't remember what that came from, but whatever it was, it had to have been a nice one. I also needed to do something with the seat spring and bolt that back down. Put the taillight panel on there. I'm guessing somebody bought the taillight panel off of it, which is why it's doing this. But I think the thing has been repainted at one point in time, the whole machine, or at least most of it. Because if you see, there's like hints of other paint that isn't supposed to be there, but kind of looks like it all chipped away. And these fenders, I'll show it to you. But I had another tractor, actually a couple of them, that the fenders look just like this. And then after cleaning it, which I will be doing later on in this video, I had it turn out and look like this, where all the color came back, which this one here was very, very rusty. And just by rubbing it down with them SOS pads, next thing you know, it looks like that. So I don't know why it's just that bluish greenish color. If you rub it with them, it comes back somehow through the rust. But anyway, I'm going to put the battery tray in, put that pulley on, and I'll come back and show you what else is new. Alright, so I made a bunch of progress on it. So the battery tray and everything is put back in. Got the gas tank in that I was mentioning about. I put some silicone, some blue silicone, because that's what I had on there because there was a hole in it. I took the bottom part off because the whole fuel gauge part didn't work. So I did all that. I haven't strapped it down yet, so it's still loose. I found an air filter cover that's off of that custom 10XL that I got with this machine. I got the stuff put on the floorboards. I don't know what I guess it's called stair tread stuff. I put that on the floorboards. Side panel or side cover, generator cover here on. Put a different belt on there because the old one went flying off when I had it running. I ended up putting a different carburetor on it because the other one ran like total garbage. So that one's here. It just needs to be cleaned and then I'm sure it'll be fine. But I have another carburetor soaking right now, so I ended up just putting this one on it, which I had in the parts pile. And it fires right up on it and it runs really nice, which I'll show you in a minute here. Right now I have the battery charging, but I got these side inserts. I just went and I borrowed them off of another one that I have yet to get to. So I got them really nice side inserts on here. Headlight panel is in. It's kind of ugly looking, but it matches the rest of the tractor. So you can barely see that it says SS12, but it works. A grill corner that sort of matches for the most part. And then a side cover that kind of matches for the most part. So it's kind of whatever. I mean, this has some repaint on it, and then so does like up here and whatever. So it is what it is. I already started going after with the SOS pads, and I got this whole side here done. The hood, the grill, and the back hitch plate. So you can see the difference between the two fenders. This one has a little bit more blue in it than that one. Need to do the seat. This is just a random seat that I put on it that has the same condition look going on as the rest of the tractor. So things that I still have to do is strap this gas tank down, figure out why the lights don't work, figure out why the kill switch wire don't work, because as soon as I hook that up, it no longer has spark and it won't run like that. So not entirely sure what's going on there. And I think that's about it. Maybe possibly put this on the right way. And put a new belt on the drive belt. Put a new drive belt on it. But here's a startup of it. So no guarantee on how easy or how hard this is going to start, because this is the second time I've had it running actually. But carburetor has very slow leak, so I just shut the fuel off. Try it without a choke. Doesn't idle the greatest, as you saw or heard. I guess it stalled, but it's fine for what it is for now. The fact that it runs and drives is actually really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rest of this cleaned up, and I'll show you what it looks like once I'm done with that. So I know I showed you guys this a while ago, but basically dip the thing in the water and you just kind of start scrubbing. Now you do this for a while, and well, I already did it. I just did that to show you. Then you take a rag and you wipe it off, or a hose and hose it off. But I normally just use a rag, wipe all that rusty stuff off, and check that out. Really nice looking patina fender. Lighting in here is terrible, but you can see it now looks like the other side. So the only thing I have left is basically, well, you can see where I didn't do that whole area right there. You can see it actually makes quite a bit of a difference, and I haven't did up here on the dash yet either, or the back of the seat. But I'm gonna get that stuff done, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. So as you saw by that, it does run and drive. The only thing that's really left to do is figure out the problem with the kill switch, because if you turn the key off, it doesn't do anything. And if I hook up the wire for it, which is why that doesn't do anything, it doesn't have spark anymore. So something there isn't quite right. So if you saw what I did, I pulled the choke and that shut it off. So I found some side inserts that look really nice, so I put them on there. I found a grill corner that matches pretty good, as well as a side cover that matches pretty good. So I'm happy with that. It runs pretty good. It idles kind of rough, but the higher you put the throttle, the smoother it runs. It should actually fire right up. So yeah,